Hello, good morning all. Welcome to science class. So we are discussing the chapter soil and we studied about the soil profile. So you know what are the important layers of a soil profile or horizons of a soil profile now. Next we are going to study about the soil types. We know that weathering of rocks produce the soil. Okay, so the type, quality and texture of the soil is completely depending upon the parent rock from which it is formed. Okay, and also the type of soil is generally varies from place to place. Okay, so in some of the areas we can see the soil is too dry, and in some other areas the soil is so black, and in some other areas it is red in color. Okay, whatever it may be, based on the type of particles present in the soil, we can classify the soil into three different types. So we know that soil is a mixture of rock particles and humus. It is a mixture of rock particles and humus. So based on the size of the particles present in the soil, we can classify the soil into three different types, only on the basis of the proportion of the soil particles, size of the particles. Okay, the first one is a sandy soil. So we know that sandy soil, from the name itself, it is a sand. We know the size of the sand also. So if the proportion of the big particles in the soil is very high, if the proportion of the big particles, larger sized particles in the soil is very high, then we can call it as the sandy soil. Then second type is the clay soil, Kalimanna. Okay, if the proportion of fine particles is relatively higher or it is very high, then we can call it as the clay soil. Clay soil means a soil with a larger proportion or greater proportion of fine particles. നമുക്കറിയാം ക്ലേയുടെ സൈസ് എത്രയാണെന്നുള്ളത്. Okay, so clay means very fine and very small in size. Then what about the third category? That is the loamy soil. If the proportion of the fine particles and large particles is almost same, then we can call it as the loamy soil. Loamy soil എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ വലിയ പാർട്ടിക്കിൾസിൻ്റെ അതുപോലെ ചെറിയ പാർട്ടിക്കിൾസിൻ്റെയും അളവ് ഏകദേശം if it is equal, then we can call it as the loamy soil. Thus the soil can be classified as sandy, clay and also loamy. And based on this soil types, we can decide the type of crops that are able to grow in these two or three different soil types. So what are the features of the sandy soil? The size of the particles in the soil is that is very high. That is a sandy soil. The sand particles, they are large. That is why they cannot fit close together. The particles are not so arranged closely. They are arranged loosely. That means in between the sand particles, what is there? Air space is there. Okay, that means air is filled in between the soil particles. That means it is well aerated, and this is the soil, this kind of sand which helps for the starting or for the formation of roots, easy penetration of root. That is why whenever we are planting a sapling, first of all we have to fill the pit with some sand, which promotes the fast penetration of roots. Okay, then and through the sand particles, the water drainage, that is very proper. The water can drain quickly through the spaces between the sand particle. So it is usually light soil because it is not holding the water. The water can seeps or drains so quickly. That is why the sandy soil is somewhat light, okay, and also well aerated and dry. What about the clay soil? Clay soil being smaller, the particles are arranged so closely, that means tightly packed, and the air space is very less. Because of the close arrangement of soil particles, there will be no gap or there will be no air passage. and also it is not able to drain the water so easily, just opposite of the sandy soil. Here this clay soil which can hold the water in it. വെള്ളം ഇങ്ങനെ കെട്ടിക്കിടക്കും. Okay, that is why it is good for growing the crops such as paddy, this wheat, etc. So clay soils have little air but they are heavy as they hold more water than the sandy soil. Then the loamy soil, that is the best topsoil for growing plants. It is a mixture of sand, clay and also another type of soil particle known as a silt. Okay, silt means it is usually present in between the river beds and others. Okay, the size is in between, the size of the silt is in between the sand and also clay. Okay, not so small and not so large. The loamy soil has a lot of humus in it. It has a right water holding capacity for the growth of plants. Okay, then the remaining part that we will discuss in the next class.